Okay, thank you very much, and I appreciate everybody participating and listening about this presentation for cybersecurity. And for better or worse, cybersecurity is not one of those warm and fuzzy topics that makes you feel good, especially with some of the recent issues that have happened at least in the United States, if not globally. So what I would like to do first is start with FDA's thinking, so at least you know right away where FDA is coming from, and we'll use their recent draft guidance, a few months ago, on the content of pre-market submissions for the management of cybersecurity and medical devices. So this will be the first window that we look at in terms of, well, what's going on with cybersecurity and what FDA is doing about it. So here we have, and here's another example too, that we're using guidance documents to understand FDA's thinking. And through the first part or throughout this presentation, we're going to be looking at different guidance documents so you can understand from different perspectives in FDA how these are coming together. People don't often integrate the different guidance documents to see, gee, this is how they're working together, and so it's not only what are they thinking, but what are they doing with these guidance documents. So the important thing to remember, and one of the common criticisms of FDA, is that guidance documents are not enforceable as a matter of law. They're simply explaining FDA's way of thinking, but they can use it administratively as if it were law in terms of how it's affecting you in fact rather than just as a matter of law. So it's an example of what FDA is doing with it, and in the cybersecurity guidance document, what they're doing is refusing to file pre-market submissions when they're made. So here's a new way of like, okay, I want to put this device onto the market, but now here's FDA's thinking of this draft guidance, and I didn't put that information in. No one had to do that before. Why do I need to do it now? Well, if you don't, FDA says we're not going to look at it. So there's an example of how FDA can implement what really isn't enforceable as a matter of law, but as a matter of fact, as a matter of administrative procedure, they can. The other thing that we're going to talk about too is wireless communications and how device networks work. So wireless communications, for example, may be like home use, or there may be something through internet links that you're conveying information, or devices that are used with a network or in a network with other devices, for example, in a hospital, and that's really pretty common. So now that there's a foundation of what we're going to do, let's go into some of the basic things that FDA would look at and what they're thinking that really are pretty common to everybody in terms of their regulatory requirements for FDA. So one of the things that you need to think about for software design considerations would be what happens at the validation stage for possible threats and vulnerabilities, and what could you do to prevent exploitation and protect against the impact of exploitation. And, what are you going to do? What's your whole program with that? And what kind of vulnerabilities are you going to say, well, that's okay, versus I can't accept this because that's going to really cause a serious problem? So one of the things typically for a validation stage is you look at the outputs. What is the software supposed to do? And how can you assure yourself to some level that it's going to continue to meet the user specifications, but also protect against that use against or around a hacker's access to that software validation. The other thing in terms of trying to protect the software that you put in is you sort of have to think ahead of, gee, where could hackers go with this that would really cause a problem? That's almost like a crystal ball kind of approach, but that's pretty much what you're left with. And one of the problems with that is that it's a catch-up game. And so that's true for anybody in software. So the hackers are coming up with all sorts of innovative ways to do that. And so you're sort of playing catch-up. One of the things I learned recently is that, it's sort of a sport sport with hackers where they develop different tools to exploit someone's software, and they actually trade these tools back and forth, almost like a black market kind of thing, saying, oh, you could use this to work with that, and so forth and so forth. It's almost like a competition. So you have this whole other mentality that's adverse to what you want to do.